Long ago, in a quiet village resting between mist-covered mountains and endless fields of rice, there lived an elderly couple whose lives had been shaped by patience and quiet endurance. Their home was small, built from aged wood that creaked gently when the wind slipped through the valley. They rose before sunrise, worked until their hands ached, and rested only when darkness settled across the land. They had known hardship. They had known long winters and poor harvests. But there was one absence they could never grow used to, the absence of a child. Their house held warmth, but it lacked laughter. Each evening, as the fire crackled softly, silence sat beside them like an unseen guest. One morning, as the old woman walked to the river to wash clothes, the air felt unusually still. The water flowed slowly, almost deliberately, gliding over smooth stones as though it carried something important. As she knelt by the riverbank, dipping cloth into the cool current, a glimmer of pink drifted in the distance. At first she thought it was sunlight reflecting on the water, but as it drew closer, she saw clearly what it was. A peach. Not an ordinary peach, but one impossibly large, its skin smooth and radiant, glowing faintly as if lit from within. Strangely, it floated toward her against the current. Heart pounding, she waded into the shallows and pulled the fruit to shore. It was heavy, warm, almost alive beneath her fingers. With great effort, she carried the peach home and called for her husband. Together they stood before it, circling it in disbelief. The old man chuckled nervously and raised his knife, meaning to split the fruit open for a meal. But before the blade could touch its surface, the peach split open on its own. A burst of golden light filled the small room, casting long shadows across the walls. And there, cradled within the fruit, lay a baby boy. He did not cry. He did not seem afraid. Instead, he looked up at them with calm, knowing eyes. Overcome with awe, the couple fell to their knees. Whether sent by the heavens or carried by fate, they accepted him as their own. They named him Momotaro, the Peach Boy. And from that day forward, their once silent home echoed with joy. Momotaro grew at a remarkable pace. By the time he could walk, his steps were steady and strong. As he matured, it became clear that he possessed strength far beyond ordinary men. He could lift heavy bundles of rice as if they weighed nothing. He split firewood with a single strike. He outran every child in the village and worked tirelessly beside his father in the fields. Yet what truly defined him was not his strength, but his kindness. He bowed deeply to elders, shared his meals freely, and protected those who were weaker. Still, there was something different about him. At times, villagers would notice him standing alone, gazing toward the distant mountains with an expression that seemed older than his years, as if listening to a call only he could hear. Beyond those mountains lay Onigashima, the island of demons. For many years, terrifying beings known as Oni had raided nearby villages. With skin red as flame or blue as storm clouds, horns curling from their foreheads, and iron clubs clenched in their fists, they descended without warning. They stole food meant to last through winter. They seized treasures passed down through generations. They left behind fear and ashes. Warriors had tried to fight them. None had returned victorious. When word reached Momotaro that another village had been attacked, something within him settled into certainty. That evening, beneath the soft glow of lantern light, he knelt before his parents. His voice was calm, not fueled by anger or pride, but by purpose. He told them he would journey to Onigashima and put an end to the suffering. His mother's hands trembled as she prepared kibi dango, wrapping them carefully in cloth for his journey. His father placed a steady hand on his shoulder. pride and fear mixing silently in his eyes. At dawn, Momotaro bowed deeply, turned toward the mountains, and began his path toward destiny. Along the road, a fierce dog stepped into his path, growling and demanding to know where he was headed. Rather than reach for a weapon, Momotaro calmly offered one of his kibi dango. The dog sniffed it cautiously, then tasted it. Its hostility melted away. Impressed by both the flavor and the young warrior's composure, the dog pledged loyalty. Further ahead, a clever monkey leapt down from the trees, mischievous and curious. After testing Momotaro's patience and agility, the monkey too accepted a dumpling and agreed to join the mission. Finally, a proud pheasant descended from the sky, warning of the dangers ahead. Offered trust and food, the bird chose to guide them from above. And so, strength, cunning, loyalty, and vision united under a single purpose. The journey across the sea to Onigashima was harsh. Dark clouds gathered as waves crashed violently against their small vessel. Thunder rolled overhead as the island finally rose from the mist, jagged cliffs like teeth piercing the sky, smoke twisting upward into heavy clouds. Within the fortress walls, the Oni laughed and feasted, unaware that their reign was nearing its end. The battle erupted with fierce intensity. The pheasant soared overhead, striking from above and distracting guards along the walls. The monkey darted swiftly through narrow spaces, disarming enemies with quick precision. The dog fought with unwavering courage, standing firm even when faced with towering foes. At the heart of the fortress stood the Oni leader, massive, armored in iron, eyes burning with cruel amusement. When he saw Momotaro, he laughed deeply, the sound echoing across the stone. Their weapons clashed with thunderous force. The ground trembled beneath each strike. The demon's strength was immense, and soon Momotaro was driven to one knee. For a moment, silence filled his mind. He saw the river. He saw the small wooden house. He felt the warmth of his mother's embrace. He remembered why he had begun this journey. Slowly, he rose, not with rage, not with fear, but with resolve. With a final decisive strike, he brought down the Oni leader. The remaining demons, seeing their ruler defeated, surrendered. The stolen treasures were reclaimed, and the shadow that had haunted the land began to lift. When Momotaro and his companions returned home, the village gathered in disbelief and relief. Families were reunited with what had been taken. Tears flowed freely. His parents embraced him tightly, as though afraid he might vanish like a dream. Yet, though he stood victorious, there was a quiet depth in his eyes. The understanding that true strength is not measured in power alone, but in the willingness to protect others. And so, the legend of Momotaro spread across the land, told beside fires and whispered beneath starlit skies. The boy born from a peach became a symbol of courage, compassion, and unity. Even now, some say that if you walk beside a quiet river at dawn, you may glimpse something drifting gently upon the current. A peach glowing softly in the morning light, waiting for the next story to begin.